Welcome to the second official live cooking demonstration. And we're going to start with making a classic margarita. Then we're going to go over to a spicy adobo cream sauce shrimp. And hopefully this will all take a little less time than it has in the past. I've done a lot of prep work to get us ready. So even though we are starting now about 7 minutes late, hopefully we're going to be able to get this all knocked out in time. Don't worry about me. I made a whole pitcher of margaritas earlier while I was prepping for this night. So I've already got my margarita in hand, but it's getting low, so it's a perfect time to make another one. So we're going to start with making a margarita. Now, for the most part, most of us drink margaritas that we get at Mexican restaurants, not margaritas that we make at home. And they have a very particular taste, and that's because they use a lot of sugar. If you look at the official recipe for a margarita, it is, this sounds like a lot, it is 10 parts tequila to 4 parts triple sec to 3 parts lime juice. So I made that. I made a margarita in that style. And it's strong. It's not really what anybody's used to tasting. And so I don't think that's what any of us want. So I tried to see what would be close. So I did 3 parts tequila to 1 part triple sec, 1 part lime juice, and then 1 part of my good friend simple syrup. And that was better, but it was too sweet. So we added another part of lime juice. So we went to 3 tequila, 2 lime juice, 1 triple sec, 1 simple syrup. And it wasn't quite there. It didn't have enough punch. So we put in 1 more part of tequila, and margarita recipe number 4 is my go-to. So that's what we're going to make right now, margarita recipe number 4. I've got just a traditional cocktail shaker here. You can certainly just put this in a glass and stir it, and it'll taste just fine. You want a healthy amount of ice. Even if you're going to put it in a glass, I'd make it in 2 glasses, 1 for making it, and then 1 for drinking it. So enough ice to make this in. And then we're just going to do, this is my double-sided jigger, so it's going to be 2 on one side and 1 on the other. So we're going to do 4 ounces of tequila. This, and I know that the bottle is backwards because of the way Facebook portal works, but this is the tequila that Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, makes. That's actually a great tequila. You know, a lot of tequila is hype, but this one's good. I like this one a lot. I've almost killed my bottle now, so I got just a little bit left. It's enough for another margarita down the road. So 4 parts margarita, 4 parts tequila. It's 4 ounces in this case. And then we're going to do 2 parts lime juice. This is freshly squeezed lime juice, of course. I just squeezed it earlier so that you didn't have to sit here and watch me squeeze lime juice. And then we're going to do 1 part simple syrup. This is the simple syrup that I make. This will help it be a little bit closer to your restaurant sugary margarita that we all know and love. And then we're going to finish it off with 1 part triple sec. This is, and you can't see the bottle again because it's reversed, but this is from Short Path Distillery right here in a little place north of Boston. It's called Everett. And they make a very, very good triple sec, but you can buy the like $4 or $5 stuff that you get at any liquor store, and it'll do the trick. If you really want to go fancy, you can get Grand Marnier or Cointreau or whatever you want, but this is the one I like. So we're going to shake this. Probably I would shake it longer than what I'm going to shake it for you, but I'm not going to make you watch me shake it. So we're going to shake this a whole bunch, and then we're just going to strain it into our glass. Toss the lid back on my simple syrup. And there you have a beautiful, perfect margarita. If you want an extra little bit of lime, there's your lime wedge. I'm going to get an extra cup so that this, if you leave it sitting in the shaker, it's going to get diluted and it's not going to be what you want. So don't leave it sitting in the shaker. If you made more than what you need, get another cup, which I'm going to do right now, and pour it in. this is my reserve cup, so that when I'm ready, I can have another. So you can see this makes about 2 margaritas. But if you know you're having company, or if you just want to have a really fun night, go ahead, make a pitcher. The easiest way to make a big pitcher of this is to do 2 cups of tequila, 1 cup of lime juice. That's about 6 limes. So 6 limes will get you 1 cup of lime juice. And then a half a cup of simple syrup and a half a cup of triple sec, and you'll have a good pitcher. So we're gonna get to cooking now. Hopefully everybody has a drink in hand, even if it's not a margarita. There's a question there. Crushed ice. Yeah, you could do this over crushed ice, but don't make a frozen margarita unless that's like, I mean, if it's really hot and you're outside and you need that, go for it. I think that's my cousin Jay saying mezcal. Sure, absolutely. If you like the smoky taste, go for a mezcal. Whatever floats your boat. The really important part is your ratios. So for me, the ratio is 4 parts tequila, 2 parts lime, 1 part triple sec, 1 part simple syrup. But everybody's got this different tastes. I like a really strong drink, so that might be too strong for you. If you need it a little sweeter, add more simple syrup. If you need it a little bit more sour, add more lime juice. I don't think very many people are going to need to add more triple sec. So that you know, I've got rice going on the stove right now. We're going to have white rice with this dish. And I've got a Mexican tomato salad that I'm going to assemble, but I've really put most of it together already. So that's ready to go. We're going to assemble that while part of this is cooking. So we're going to make a spicy tequila shrimp in an adobo cream sauce. So our ingredients are going to be butter, red pepper, a little bit of garlic, about a pound of shrimp. I've already peeled and deveined that. Pound of shrimp. Then we're gonna make right here in my little food processor an adobo cream sauce. In the middle of that, we're gonna toss in some tequila. We're gonna light things on fire. So if there was ever a time not to go away, this is the episode. Stick around. I guarantee the flame. I shouldn't guarantee anything. Usually the flame is like this high, and I get a little nervous, which is why I always use my center burner for this, because there will be real fire when we do this. I know in the pre-episode, the one before I started doing this and inviting everybody, I tried to do a little bit of fire with some wine. I didn't have enough wine in there, and wine doesn't have a ton of alcohol. Sometimes I can get wine to light, but not always. This will light. So what we're going to do, I'm going to bring my pan over here because we're going to start just a little bit off the stove. We're going to start with 2 tablespoons of butter. So that's 2 tablespoons of butter right there. And some chopped, I've got a timer going off, and some chopped red pepper. So we're going to just put this over a medium-high heat. And you want that butter to, the second that butter is melted, the pepper is going to go in. My timer went off because my rice is done. And I'll just say a word on cooking rice real quick. My method is, again, it's all about ratios. 1 part rice, 2 parts water. Bring it to a boil, let it boil for about a minute. Cover it, turn the heat down to low. Cook it for 17 minutes. I don't know why the number is 17. That's just what works for me. And then turn it off and let it sit for at least 10 minutes. It can sit longer, and that's what it's going to do tonight. So it's just going to sit off but covered. It's got to go for at least 10 minutes, but 20, 25 minutes, all of that's just fine. So again, we're just melting butter in a saucepan. And I'm going to turn this fan on. We won't go all the way high just yet. We'll need the jet engine when we light things on fire. And we're going to toss this red pepper. So these are just, just like I did last week, just little slices of red pepper. We're going to toss these in and let those cook down. It's going to probably take about 5 to 7 minutes for the pepper to cook, and then everything else is going to happen really fast. A little bit of salt and just a touch of pepper, just a touch. And you can smell the butter, so we're not using oil today. We're using butter. Don't do this again with olive oil. This is a Mexican dish, and even though they do use olive oil in some Mexican cooking, that's not like the heart of Mexican cooking. So if you're using olive oil, you're going to get tastes that really aren't authentic to what you're trying to do. The butter is going to give you some richness. It's going to be delicious. You are going to like butter in this dish. I'm going to put together this salad really quickly. So what I've got, and again, I can't see that well because the talking is over it. So I've got some tomatoes. These are just the same tomatoes that I use in a salad. They're grape tomatoes, cut in half. I've tossed them with some salt and pepper. And then this is a mixture. This is onion, jalapeno, canola oil, and chili powder. And I just sauteed it down for about 15-20 minutes till it was kind of a mush. So this is more or less the salad dressing for my tomatoes, but it's got a lot of heat and a lot of flavor. So if you want to do this, it's about 5 tablespoons of canola oil, 2 teaspoons of chili powder, 2 jalapenos, and 1 good medium-sized onion. That's about a cup and a half of onion chopped up. And you'll see that gives you some good glossiness. That's the oil all over those. So I'm just stirring that all together. This is queso fresco, so traditional Mexican cheese, because cheese makes everything better. So we're just going to add a little queso fresco to that. And then, since we've got it handy, and because it's what makes this, to give some acid to this salad, we're just going to add some lime juice, probably about a tablespoon, maybe 2. You can eyeball it, you can measure it. And this can sit for a little bit and let the flavors come together. But there you go. We've got a nice Mexican style. This is pretty spicy too, but tomato salad. So that's going to be delicious, and we're going to have that right alongside our shrimp. I'm going to put this in the fridge because I like it cold. And while I'm over there, I'm going to grab our shrimp. I was lucky. I haven't been very happy with Whole Foods lately, but today they had wild-caught Gulf shrimp, which is nice. So this is just some shrimp that we're going to use. In just a second, I'm going to take a peek at these peppers. Where it is. So those are coming along nicely, and that's going to give me just a minute to make our adobo cream sauce. You do not need a food processor to do this, but I think it is much, much easier to do in a food processor. What you need is just a can of chipotle peppers and adobo sauce. Adobo sauce is, for the most part, tomato sauce with some garlic and a couple of other seasonings. And this is what's going to make this dish spicy. So if you don't want it spicy, use less. If you want it super spicy, use more. I actually adapted this recipe from, I can hear that's cooking a little too high, so I'm going to turn it down. I actually adapted this recipe from Patty's Mexican Table. If you're a PBS viewer, you might know maybe it's Patty's Mexican Kitchen. But I adapted it from that. I use a lot more chipotle peppers than she called for. And I made a couple of other changes that make this my own. But she's an awesome cook. And the best thing about her is that she gives away all of her recipes. A lot of these TV chefs, you have to pay and get behind a firewall to get their recipes, and she doesn't. She just gives hers away. So that's fantastic, and I'm grateful for her for it. So that was 3 peppers, and then about a spoonful of the sauce. If you don't want it spicy, take 1 spoonful of sauce and 1 pepper, or even less if that's still too spicy for you. Now, I have a lot left over. You know, they don't sell these any smaller. This is as small as you get. Let me tell you, I found the best solution for leftover chipotle peppers. I don't generally eat sweet potatoes, but take a sweet potato, mash it up, chop some of these peppers like you would do for this sauce. If you didn't have a food processor, you just chop them up real fine, and stir it into some mashed sweet potatoes. They'll be the only sweet potatoes I'll eat. Hopefully, the best sweet potatoes you'll ever eat, and that'll be just yummy, yummy. So we're gonna put. This is a half a cup of heavy cream. We're not going to put the whole thing in here because I don't want to accidentally turn this into whipped cream. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this in here, and I'm going to do a couple of chopped pulses just to get it nice and incorporated. And you can see already it's turning this beautiful color. Again, pulse. Don't just sit there and spin it and spin it and spin it. We don't want the cream to get hard. Not that it will. I mean, don't panic. That's not going to happen in a couple of seconds. And I'm looking down in there. I've got a spoon here to scrape with. Some pieces of chipotle. Like I said, you can do this on your cutting board just with a knife, and chop it up, and that'll be just fine. But if you want a little bit smoother consistency, which I like, then do this all in a food processor, and you'll be good to go. So that's going to be enough. That was just, I don't know, maybe 10 pulses or so. I'm going to scrape the lid because a bunch of it shoots up onto the lid, and we want to have all that good, yummy stuff. And I still got some cream left over. Don't worry, that's all going to go onto the shrimp because the sauce is really maybe the best part of this dish. I'm going to hold that so I can use it. So this is going to be my sauce. That's going to happen in just a minute. So at this point, my peppers, and I'm looking at them, they look nice, a little bit soft, a couple of little brown spots on them, which is what I want. I've turned them down to low heat. If I was doing this without talking to you, I'd probably keep it on a medium-high heat, stir it a bunch, and cook them in just a few minutes. But it gave me time to put the other two things together. So we're done with that. I'm going to salt and pepper this shrimp. So a little bit of salt, probably more salt than what you expect, and some pepper. At this point, so your peppers are coming along pretty nicely, and I've got a little bit of oil left in here, but I want to make sure there's plenty for the garlic and the shrimp. So I'm going to put another tablespoon of butter in. So we're now up to 3 tablespoons of butter in total. I've got this heat coming up a little bit higher. Again, I know this is not, if there's any relatives, not through me obviously, but if you have Italian in you, this is offensive. But I'm using garlic out of a jar. I don't like chopping garlic. I don't like my hands smelling like garlic forever. And I actually don't love garlic all that much. So this gives me a little bit more of a mild flavor. Garlic is really strong if it's fresh compared to this chopped stuff that sits in a jar. That's bad for people who love garlic. It's great for me. So by all means, chop up 2 or 3 cloves of garlic and toss them in here. I'm going the easy way. So there's my spoonful of prepared garlic. And it's good to go. I'm going to give this shrimp just a toss to make sure the salt and pepper's on all of it. That garlic's only going to cook for 30 seconds or so. And it's going to be good. We're on high heat at this point. Make sure you've got enough oil in the pan. If you don't, just add some more butter. But you should. We're going to drop these shrimp in. Trying to give them some space so that they're not completely sitting on peppers, but it's not going to be entirely possible. So to the extent that you can set them on the pan directly, great. If you can't, it's okay. Just push your peppers out to the edges. And these guys are going to cook just for a minute or two aside. You don't want to overcook shrimp. That's always a sad, sad thing. I'm going to wash my hands real good. So that's going to go for just about a minute or two aside. I'm going to add this cream, this extra cream, into the sauce. And I'm going to get my tequila ready. And if you have not been watching, now is the fun part. We are going to light my kitchen on fire. So, going to give these shrimp a minute on this side, and then we're going to flip them. It should be just about ready. Again, you don't want to overcook your shrimp. But yeah, these guys are done. In fact, I'm going to turn down the heat for a second while I flip them. I got one guy on the outside that didn't cook as well as I would have liked, but everybody else is done. Shrimp is one of those things that it's almost, you know, by the time you put them all in the pan, the first one you put in is done. Same thing, by the time you flip them all over, the first one you put in there is pretty close to done. So you can actually see that guy might even be a little bit more happy than we need him to be. But that's okay. I'm a better cook when I'm not trying to talk to people at the same time. I got two guys that aren't as done as I would like, and a few guys who are more done than I would like. I'm going to give those guys just 1 minute on that side. While I do that, this is washed and dried cilantro. I'm going to use this in two places. I'm going to use it to garnish my shrimp when they're done. And I'm going to use it to give a little bit extra flavor to my tomato salad. I know I've got at least 2 viewers who hate cilantro. You don't need to weigh in. I know who you are. But if you hate cilantro, just skip it. It's not integral to the dish. This is for people who like cilantro, and I love cilantro. So we're just going to finely chop that. And it doesn't matter if there's big pieces left when you're done. But some nice cilantro. Just going to finish off both of our dishes. And now the shrimp should be good. So I am not going to turn it. I'm going to get this heat back up on high. Give it just a second to make sure it's high. And now here's the part that everybody signed up for. Just giving my cream a stir. Okay, here we go. There we go. So that was a 1/4 cup of tequila. Again, use any tequila you like. Let that cook until it stops being on fire. Almost there. I'm going to turn over those 2 shrimp that didn't get all the way through the first time. And we've set off the fire alarm. And now we're having fun, right? So the fire alarm, which I told you in an earlier episode, is very sensitive in this kitchen, has gone off. I should have kicked up my stove beforehand. Well, we're entertaining if nothing else. I don't know that I've taught you anything about cooking now, but I have taught you about fire safety. And now we're done. We're done. So I've got the heat all the way down on super low. You might not have a super low on your stove, and that's fine. Just turn it off. It's more than fine to turn off at this point. And we're going to add the adobo cream sauce all over the shrimp. Scrape it out because you don't want to miss a single bite of this. This is really the best part. Give it a stir. And you should be all set to go. So now what we've got, I'll give you a peek. This is our tequila shrimp in a spicy adobo cream sauce. And we're going to serve this again over white rice with a little bit of Mexican tomato salad on the side. I'm going to finish it off just by garnishing it with some of the cilantro. And we're done. I love you all. Have a great night. And I hope this was fun. If at any point in time you've got recipe questions, don't hesitate to send me a note, and we'll do our best to answer them. If you've got suggestions or ideas for things that you'd like me to cook, let me know. And of course, this video in some fashion is going to go up onto the YouTube channel. So please, please, please follow, like, and if you can encourage people who don't know me to follow and like, I would be tremendously grateful. I would love to have people learning all about how to cook from me.